Yo, what's up, scholars? How we doing? Man, it's always a blessing to see you guys when we have our Zoom meetings, man. I really do appreciate you. Some of y'all missed it, but that's all right. You know what I mean? It's still good. You guys are always in my heart, man. I mean, I just miss you guys. I know you're tired of like work on a computer and showing up to these Zoom meetings and stuff like that. But you know what I mean? I just want to encourage you to stay in the fight, man. Keep doing it. You know, before you know it, it's going to be the official time for summer. And then you're going to be preparing for coming back to school to be in 7th grade, right? So I just want to spend as much time with you guys as I can, man. So anyway, we at week 6, day 2, statements of inequalities and absolute value. We're going to be on this statements of inequality for a little bit. So hopefully you will be able to gather all the information that you need to be able to do this properly, right? So anyway, man, I love you guys. I miss you and all that good stuff. So here we go. It says, calculate the following scenario to find the remaining balance. After work, Gladys used the ATM to deposit her paycheck for $638.77 and to withdraw $200 cash. If her starting bank balance was $418.03, what is her new balance, right? So when we think about this right here, right, we see these terms. We see deposit and we see withdrawal, right? So when we think about that, we're going to start with what it says, 418.03. That's what was already in her bank, right? And so we can either do 200 from that because she takes a withdrawal. Remember, withdrawal means to take out, so we're subtracting. Or we can just go ahead and add that $638, right? $638.77. Because really that's what happens, right? Like you put the money in the bank and then you do the withdrawal. So that's going to be 73 is 10, 8, 6, 5, and then 10, right? So we know that. And now we're going to subtract the 200. We're going to take the 200 from that because that's her withdrawal. So 200 from that. So it's going to give us 80, 6, 5, and then 8. So 856.80, 856.80. All right. Cool. Moving right along. Number 2. Let's check number 2 out. Number 2 says, calculate the following scenario to find the remaining balance. Abby started the day with a bank balance of $343.64. She used another bank's ATM to withdraw $100 cash. Withdraw, there's that word again. The charge for using the ATM was $250. So that's also something that you have to be aware of. You're getting charged to use another ATM. Abby then used her card to make a purchase of $85.10, $23.95, and $8.47. Find the balance in her account after the bank process these transactions, right? So you got to pay for all of that stuff. You don't just go and it doesn't come out of your bank account, right? So when we think about this particular question, right, we have to do a bunch of different stuff. Looks like a bunch of adding. So anyway, it says here that she had a balance of $343.64. That was what was in her bank. She withdrew $100. So we know we have to do subtract. So minus 100, right? So that's going to be 64, 3, 4, 2. So that's what's left in her bank after she did the withdrawal. And then it said she got a $250 charge. $250 charge. So they're taking $250 from her. So that's going to be 4. That's going to be 1. That's going to be 1, 4, 2. So now she has $241.14. Okay, and now she just went out shopping. She spent $85.10. So there's a couple things that you could do. You just keep subtracting, or you could just add all the money that she spent up. But we could just keep subtracting as we go. So that's gonna be 4, and then 1 and 1 is 0, and then we have to borrow there, and that's gonna be 6. And since we borrowed there, we have to do that. That's 13. So that's going to be 5. And then we're left with 1. So 156.04. And now we subtract 23 from that. 23.95. And in this one, we have to borrow. And that's going to be 9. And then this right here becomes 9. That's going to be 0. and then this is 5. So that's going to be 2, and then 3, and then 1. Now we take 847 from it. I know it's like a lot of math, and I want you to do it just like I'm doing it with pencil and paper, not using a calculator. Anyway, 2, borrow from that, 6, 1, borrow from that, 3, that becomes 2, 123, 123.62. And that's what we're left with, 123.62. All right? So we got to think about positive and negative numbers, using those terms to understand what we're talking about, the subtraction, withdrawal, deposit, things like that. All right? Number 3. So now we're looking at these inequalities a little bit closer. Number 3, it is 7x, and next week we're going to be graphing these, right? We're going to be graphing these next week. Negative 7x minus 21 is less than 42. So in the same way as if this was the equal sign, right, we have to get rid of this first to get the variable by itself. So what do we have to do with this? In order to get it by itself, we have to do the opposite operation. I know you guys are hearing that in your voice right now, or in your head. Mr. B saying you have to do the inverse operation. The opposite operation is addition. So we're going to add 21 to both sides. We're adding 21 to both sides, and that's going to give us 3. That's going to give us 63. And then we have 7x is less than 63. Okay? Now what do we have to do? Yeah, there you go. We have to do the inverse operation of multiplication. Remember, the variable's next to it, the coefficient, that means multiplication. So we have to do the inverse, which is division, and divide by 7 on both sides, and we're going to get x is less than 9. Okay? So when we graph this, right? When we graph this, this is going to look like this. You don't have to worry about it today, but just keep this in mind. Whatever symbol is in the direction, unless we're doing it by a negative number, right? We're going to go in that same direction. And so this is going to be open at 9. Right? So x is less than 9. Right? And so remember, since we're going this way, this is going to be counting backwards, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and so on. Okay? So that's what you have to know for the graphing part. That's going to come on next Monday. All right? Good job, scholars. Number 4. Solve. It says solve the inequality. Right? There we go. Just like we've been doing. P plus 7 is less than 11. All right? So you guys should know what we need to do now. All you have to do is subtract, do the inverse operation. Then we're going to be left with P is less than 4. P is less than 4. Okay? Easy peasy. That's so cheesy. All right, so absolute value, right? When you think about absolute value, right, it's basically saying that what is the distance from 0? When we talk about absolute value will never have a negative number. As long as it's on the inside of the symbols, right? So when you take a look at this, just as an example, if it said the absolute value of 6, right? What is the absolute value, or what is the absolute distance from 0? 6, right? So basically, we just remove the sign, the symbol, and we get 6. So the absolute value of 6 is 6, right? In the same way, if we wrote, what is the absolute value of negative 6? The absolute value of negative 6 is also 6, because it is 6 spaces away from 0. Now, if we have a situation like this, where it is the absolute value of a negative 6, then that's just like we're saying the opposite of the opposite, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to keep it. It's going to be negative 6. So the absolute value of the negative absolute value of a negative 6 is going to be negative 6. So anytime there's a symbol out here, it stays with it. All right? Cool beans, man. All right, so let's take a look at number 5. So it says, according to what you've just learned regarding absolute value, which of these statements is true? Okay, the absolute value of 5 and negative 5 are the same distance from 0. The absolute value of 5 and negative 5 are not the same distance from 0. Or no answer is correct. Well, from my explanation, we just learned that the absolute value, and even from the video if you watched it, 5 and negative 5 are both the same distance from 0. So the first one is the right correct answer. So the first bowl. All right. Number 6. Ooh, now we get to do some math. So let me turn the page. This is going to be fun, right? And so just so you know, you want to make sure that you are writing it down just like we've been doing with each step, okay? So we have the absolute value of negative 8 plus the absolute value of 14, negative 14, and then minus 9. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to rewrite it without the absolute value, right? So we know that the absolute value of negative 8 is 8 plus the absolute value of 14. Negative 14 is 14 minus 9. All right? So as I read from left to right, 8 and 14 gives me, very good, 22. 22 minus 9 gives me 13. And there you go. Boom. Focus. Focus. There we go. All right. Pretty simple, pretty cut and dry, pretty cut and dry. All right. Number 7. Okay, number 7. We should be able to do this. Let me get situated here. Number 7. Number 7 says negative 13 plus the absolute value of negative 2 plus 5 minus 6. Okay, so we're going to start just like we're doing GEMDAS, PEMDAS, whatever. We're just like we're doing that. We're going to start inside. So we have a negative 2 plus 5. Since the signs are different, we're going to subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number, and that's going to give us 3. So now we have the absolute value of 3, and then 6 plus negative 13. Okay? And so as I read from left to right, we know that the absolute value of 3 is simply 3. So 13 take away 3, or negative 13 plus 3 is going to be negative 10 minus 6. That's what we're left with. Okay? And now we see this part here where my signs are the same. Signs are the same, so same sign, same sign. So I'm going to add and keep the sign. So 10 plus 6 is negative 16. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. All right, number 8. Number 8. What's the solution? All right, so let's go ahead and rewrite that over here. Number 8. Number 8 is the absolute value of negative 41 minus the absolute value of 18 plus 12. Okay, and so we know that absolute value stays, but this right here is just going to be the symbol. So we're going to have 41 minus 18 plus 12. Okay, so 41 minus 18. 41 minus 18 should give us 23, right? Let's just do it. 41, 18. That's going to be 3. 23 plus 12 is 5. 45. And there we go. 45. I mean 35. Haha. 35. All right, perfect. We are moving right along, scholars. Right along, right along, right along. All right. So number 9. All right. So what is the solution? So we have the absolute value of 32 minus 95 plus 6 plus 15 minus 4. Okay, so just like we've been doing, focus, thank you. Just like we've been doing, so 32 minus 95, we have to subtract that and keep the sign of the bigger number, right? And so that's going to be 3 and then 63. 63. negative plus 6 plus absolute value of negative 15 minus 4. Okay, so again, right here we have to subtract, and that's going to give us 57. Nope, 56. 63 minus 6, Mr. B. What is going on with your brain? 63 minus 6, right? 13 and 6 is 7, so that's going to be 57. Why am I don't know. I am bugging right now. Absolute value plus 15 minus 4. So we know that we're just going to add all this up. So 57 plus 15 minus 4. 57 and 15. 57 and 15 is going to give us, what is that going to give us? 2. Mr. B, what is going on with you today? 12, 172 minus 4. Minus 4 is going to give us 68. Oh, we figured it out. Gee willikers, Mr. B. All right. So that's it for that one, man. Number 10, it says match the statements written in English with the mathematical statements. So I can't see it, but you're figuring out, like number 1, it says the absolute value of negative 64 is greater than 4. Right? So the statements like A, B, C, D, and E, F go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay? So now I'm going to let you do that part because we are at 17 minutes and counting. But good job today. I really do appreciate you working hard and showing up every day. And let's stay with it, man. We got like a few weeks left. And I want to make the best of every opportunity that we have together, all right? So I will see you on Friday with another lesson, and then again on Monday. So you guys have a great rest of your week. And remember, Mr. B loves you, and I'll see you soon.